spring, it happens. The world just turns pink. It's in our lattes, our energy drinks, even our donuts. But have you ever really stopped and wondered why? Because this isn't just some random trend. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible business strategy that turns a simple flower into a global obsession. So let's just start with the central question that every single one of these brands is trying to figure out. They're not just selling you a flavor, they're selling an experience. It's all about bottling that feeling of escape, that cultural connection, and that fleeting moment of spring for people all over the world. And that is what we're calling the 2026 Sakura strategy. It's this super sophisticated, data-driven engine that takes a flower that's only around for a couple of weeks and turns it into a year-round, high-profit business. So let's break down exactly how they pull it off. First up, what I like to call the Sakura Gold Rush. Seriously, this has gone way, way beyond just a cute seasonal thing. For the big brands, Sakura is now this high-stakes global strategy. It's their launchpad for expanding from Asia into North America and really everywhere else. And here's the absolute key to understanding all of this. Success isn't about making the best-tasting cherry drink. It's about capturing a feeling. These brands are laser-focused on a Gen Z audience that's looking for what you might call mindful indulgence. They're bottling nostalgia and a sense of escape. It's literally a moment of peace in a can. So how in the world do you bottle a feeling? Well, that's where the research and development playbook comes in. And trust me, this is where it gets really, really cool. For 2026, Sakura innovation is really all about three main pillars. First, you've got clean label chemistry. That means using the flower's natural compounds to create this sophisticated, almost almond-like flavor. Second is functional bloom, which is about adding ingredients like adaptogens, natural stuff that helps your body deal with stress. And finally, tech-enabled harvests, using high-tech extracts to get around those unpredictable bloom cycles. And that whole functional bloom trend, that's not some small niche market. We are talking about a $14 billion opportunity. And it's almost entirely driven by Gen Z's demand for products that don't just taste good, but actually help them manage stress and feel a little better. This is wellness you can drink. All right, so how does a brand that's all about extreme sports successfully sell a delicate Japanese flavor? Let's take a look at the absolutely brilliant case study of Red Bull. They took a limited edition flavor from Japan and just completely reinvented it for a whole new market. So here's their blueprint. They expertly balance those subtle floral notes with that big energy kick their customers expect. They tweaked the original 2016 Japanese formula to fit North American tastes, and, this is crucial, they ditched the usual pink for a bold white and red can that just pops on the shelf and, you guessed it, looks amazing on Instagram. But if you want to see the true masters of the Sakura game, you have to look at Starbucks Japan. They go so far beyond just flavor. They're focused on texture and targeting these hyper-specific groups of consumers. Just look at how they break down their audience. For the younger TikTok crowd, they're making drinks like the Sakura White Peach Frappuccino with all these complex visual layers of jelly and pudding. But then, for a more mature audience, they've got the Night Hanami Soda, this sophisticated blend for the sober curious movement. It is truly a masterclass in market segmentation. Okay, so you've nailed the perfect product. But how do you turn that product into a massive cultural event? Well, that's where the marketing engine kicks in to engineer a truly viral bloom. The entire marketing strategy really hinges on this beautiful Japanese concept, mono-o-aware. It's this awareness of impermanence, that kind of bittersweet feeling you get when you know something beautiful isn't going to last. Brands harness this feeling to create this powerful sense of urgency, a huge dose of FOMO. This isn't just a limited time offer. It's a fleeting cultural moment that you have to be a part of. And that whole limited window thing creates this massive global logistics puzzle. The bloom doesn't happen everywhere at once, right? It rolls out across the world over several months. That means brands have to time their product launches with almost military precision to match the peak bloom in each city, from Taipei in January all the way to Toronto in late April. This intense logistical planning feeds into a super powerful PR strategy they call forecast-led earned media. Basically, by lining up their biggest launches with the official bloom forecasts, brands like Coca-Cola and Kirin Brewery generate billions in free press. They literally turn a weather report into a huge nationwide commercial for their products. And they bring all that hype directly to you through what they call omnichannel mastery, which is really just a fancy way of saying they connect the online and offline worlds perfectly. Think about it. Starbucks offers delivery kits on Uber Eats that are timed to your local park's bloom. Influencers are posting these stunning pictures of night blossoms, which are called yozakura. They just seamlessly merge the digital buzz with your actual real-world experience. But there is a major threat looming over this entire industry. What happens when nature itself just becomes totally unpredictable? Let's look at how these brands are adapting to survive the climate shift. The first big challenge is climate variability. An early bloom, like the one in Tokyo in 2026, can be a complete disaster if your whole supply chain depends on real petals. The solution? AI forecasting. Brands are now using predictive analytics to lock in their supply contracts weeks ahead of time, turning a huge risk into a major competitive edge. Now, the second challenge comes from consumers themselves. A full 70% of Gen Z demand ethical, traceable supply chains. And believe me, they are not afraid to call out brands that are being sketchy. So in response, companies are using tech like blockchain to verify that their petals are sustainably sourced. This transparency isn't just about checking a box. It becomes a really powerful part of the brand's story. And finally, there's a human challenge. The population of farmers in Japan is aging, and that puts even more pressure on an already strained supply chain. This is where R&D comes back into the picture. By developing these advanced extract-based alternatives, brands can scale their products globally without being totally dependent on a traditional, labor-intensive harvest. So, as we wrap all this up, what does it really mean? Well, the Sakura strategy isn't just about flowers. It's a playbook for how to sell a feeling, how to connect with a culture, and how to build a resilient global business. The future, my friends, is flavored with this kind of thinking. So how do you actually measure if this is all working? In 2026, there are really 3 key numbers to watch. A 40% spike in engagement proves that the cultural message is really hitting home. A 20% lift in online to offline sales shows you're turning all that hype into actual revenue. And a high innovation velocity proves you're nimble enough to win in a really volatile market. And that 40% lift in engagement, let's be clear, that is massive. This is the power you get when you perfectly sync a product launch with a cultural moment. It's the difference between being just another seasonal item on the shelf and becoming a true global phenomenon. Ultimately, when you look at it, the Sakura strategy is a masterclass in blending culture, technology, and super agile operations. It really is a blueprint for the future. And that leaves us with one final big question. What cultural moment, what fleeting feeling will be the next global Sakura?